Hi, I'm Al and I'm with Above and Beyond Creative Sewing in Nanuet, New York. And today I'd like to show you ribbon stitching on the Pfaff Performance Icon. The same technique applies to a couple of the different Pfaff machines, including the Pfaff Performance Icon, the Pfaff Creative Icon, and the Pfaff Expression 720. I've chosen the Pfaff Performance Icon to show you because the screen is much larger, it's much clearer to see all the changes I'm going to make to the machine to get us ready to do the ribbon stitching. So the Pfaff Performance Icon features this very large touchscreen where we can set up our stitch, and I'll see exactly what it looks like before we start sewing. So ribbon stitching is a technique that uses ribbons and it lays them down and stitches them in order, so you can do single ribbon stitching like the ones here on the left, double ribbon stitching like the ones in the middle, and triple like the ones in the right. So you can see the decorative element you can add to your sewing repertoire, like this pillowcase with the triple ribbon stitching. It's really beautiful. So to set up the machine for ribbon stitching, it's very easy. You go into your stitch selector icon and you choose the technique called ribbon stitching. And this is category 1. Category 2 has double ribbon stitching, and 3 obviously has triple ribbon stitching. We're just going to choose the double ribbon stitching for today. Now the ribbon I'm using is kind of thin, as you can see here. There's not much to it. So I don't want to use anything too large or chunky on the ribbon stitching, so I might want to change this and make it a little bit smaller. I'm going to touch my stitch edit button and pick my pop-out menu and bring up the stitch length and the stitch width right onto my screen. As you can see from the way I pop those out, your screen is fully customizable, so you can have what tools you want on the screen at any time just by simply dragging them and placing them on your screen. Those stay there until you remove them whenever you like. So let's go ahead and change our stitch. So now it's pretty wide and pretty long. I'm going to make it very narrow. I'm going to bring this down all the way down to 8 millimeters, and I'm going to bring my length down to about 10 millimeters. There we go. And that looks like that's going to work out real nice for me. So remember, when you're doing any of the decorative stitching on your sewing machine, you need to use some kind of stabilizer behind, some kind of interfacing to add stability to your top fabric. So I've gone ahead and picked a fabric. We're going to slide that under the presser foot. I'm simply going to step on the foot pedal. Oh, before I do that, I'm going to tell the machine to start the pattern at the beginning by pressing the pattern start button. That way, if I've stopped sewing at some point and I'm in the middle of a pattern, when I press that button, it resets everything to the beginning of the pattern, which is really useful. So I've touched the button, and now I'm going to go ahead and start sewing, and it's going to do a couple of stitches in place for me. And now I'm going to lower the needle to raise the presser foot for the ribbon insertion. Now, I did not have the top thread under the foot when I started, so very simply here I'm just going to snip that to get that out of the way. Okay, so let's start with our first ribbon. I'm going to use our purple, and if you look here at the stitch started top left to bottom right, so it was going this way. So I need to lay my ribbon in that same direction. I'm going to slide the ribbon under the presser foot, which automatically lifted for me on the performance icon, and I'm going to take a couple of stitches by stepping on the pedal and stitching until it stops. So now it has stopped stitching. Now it's time to insert my orange thread, which is going to go right over here. So it's going to crisscross from the purple. I'm going to keep my fabric straight and stitch that in place. Now it's just a matter of following the stitch line. So this stitch stitched top right to lower left, I'm simply going to fold the ribbon over, bring it up to the needle, just like so, and stitch that in place. And now I'm going to take my purple ribbon, flip this over. Oops, this is a little thin. It's easier to work with thicker ribbons, but this will work just fine. If I can get this flipped, there we go. Bring this over, put that up against the needle, and stitch again. And we're going to keep following this pattern until we have the length that we're looking for. So as you can see, all I'm doing is alternating the ribbons every second stitch. So that's 1, and that's 2. And then I'm going to bring the purple 1 and 2. 1 and 2. Pretty cool, right? So let's just finish it off with this orange coming across one more time. And then we're going to stop it. I'm going to use the scissor button to cut my thread. And we'll pull this out. You'll see what it looks like. And that is ribbon stitching. What a great technique to do at home to add accents to what you're sewing on, your decorative projects, like the pillowcase that I showed you earlier. It's just a great little technique. Now, the Pfaff performance icon along with the creative icon and the Expression 720 have more than just the ribbon stitching. They also do stacking stitches, they do floating stitches. In another video we'll show you other the techniques, but that's the ribbon stitching technique. If you have any questions or you want to see this in person, please don't hesitate to call us and stop in to Above and Beyond Creative Sewing in Nanuet, New York, and we'd be happy to show you the machine and how to do this. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.